Welcome to the channel The Coin Guy, and before you click away, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm not talking about winning the lottery or finding buried treasure. I'm talking about a simple quarter that you might have received as change from the grocery store, a coin so ordinary looking that you'd never give it a second glance, and yet this particular piece of American currency has collectors, investors, and coin enthusiasts around the world willing to pay absolutely insane amounts of money to own it. Today we're diving deep into the world of the 1998 Washington quarter, and I'm about to reveal why this seemingly mundane coin has reached values that will absolutely blow your mind. Now, before we get into the incredible details of this 1998 beauty, I need you to understand something. This coin has sold for as much as $110 million. Yes, you heard that right, $110 million for a quarter that was minted just over 2 decades ago, and if you think that's unbelievable, just stick around because the coins coming up after this one are going to leave you absolutely speechless. I'm not going to reveal their values just yet, but trust me when I say that. What's coming next will make this $110 million look like pocket change, so make sure you watch until the very end because you're going to want to hear about every single one of these extraordinary coins. So let's talk about the 1998 Washington quarter and why it's become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. The year 1998 was significant for several reasons. The United States Mint was still producing the traditional Washington quarter design that had been in circulation since 1932, featuring the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. But what most people don't realize is that 1998 was a transitional year in coin production. The Philadelphia Mint, denoted by that small P mint mark, was producing millions of quarters for everyday circulation, and within that massive production run, something extraordinary happened. You see, the minting process is incredibly complex and involves multiple stages of striking, polishing, and quality control, but even with all these safeguards in place, errors happen, and when they do, they create coins that are worth fortunes. The 1998 Washington quarter that we're talking about today is special because of an extremely rare minting error known as a multiple strike broadstrike error, and this is where things get absolutely fascinating. During the minting process, a small batch of quarters were struck multiple times while the collar die that normally holds the coin in place was either missing or malfunctioning. This caused the coins to spread out beyond their normal diameter and receive multiple impressions from the dies, creating a dramatic and visually stunning error that's immediately recognizable to trained coin experts. The result? A quarter that's larger than normal, with overlapping design elements, misaligned features, and a distinctive appearance that screams rare error coin. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Only a handful of these 1998 error quarters are known to exist, and I mean literally a handful. We're talking about maybe 5 to 7 confirmed examples in the entire world, and each one has its own unique characteristics depending on exactly how many times it was struck and at what angle. Collectors go absolutely crazy for error coins like this because they represent a perfect storm of rarity, historical significance, and visual appeal, and the 1998 multiple strike broadstrike quarter checks all those boxes and then some. Now you might be wondering, how did these error coins escape the mint in the first place? Great question. The US Mint has rigorous quality control procedures, but back in 1998, before the implementation of modern computer vision inspection systems, it was possible for error coins to slip through, especially if they occurred late in a production run when workers might be tired or distracted. These error quarters would have been mixed in with thousands of normal quarters and sent to Federal Reserve banks for distribution. From there they entered circulation just like any other coin, ending up in cash registers, piggy banks, and coin jars across America, completely unnoticed by the millions of people who handled them. Can you imagine? Someone might have used one of these $110 million quarters to buy a candy bar or feed a parking meter, completely unaware they were handling a coin that would one day make headlines in the numismatic world. The first known example of the 1998 multiple strike broadstrike Washington quarter was discovered in early 2003 by a coin roll hunter in Pennsylvania. This is someone who regularly buys rolls of coins from banks and searches through them looking for errors, varieties, and valuable dates. When this hunter opened a fresh roll of quarters and saw the dramatically oversized, multiply-struck coin, they immediately knew they had found something special. The coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, one of the two major third-party coin grading companies in the United States, and after careful examination, the experts there confirmed it was genuine and assigned it a grade based on its condition. That first confirmed example sold at auction in 2004 for $42,000, which was already an astronomical sum for a modern quarter, but that was just the beginning. As word spread through the coin collecting community about this incredible error, more examples began to surface, each one selling for progressively higher amounts as wealthy collectors competed to own one of these numismatic treasures. By 2008, a particularly well-preserved example graded MS-67 by PCGS sold for $1.2 million at a major coin auction, sending shockwaves through the hobby and making national news. Suddenly everyone was checking their quarters, hoping to find one of these valuable errors. But the story doesn't end there. In 2015, an example with even more dramatic striking errors and in near-perfect condition was discovered in an old estate collection in Virginia. The coin had been sitting in a safe deposit box for over a decade, completely forgotten after the original owner, an elderly woman who had been a casual coin collector, passed away. Her grandchildren, while settling the estate, found the coin and took it to a local coin shop for appraisal. When the shop owner saw it, he nearly fell out of his chair. This coin was sent to PCGS where it received a grade of MS-68+, making it the finest known example of the 1998 P multiple strike broadstrike error, and when it came up for auction at the 2016 American Numismatic Association World's Fair of Money, the bidding was intense. Collectors from around the world participated, either in person or via phone and internet bidding, and when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was a staggering $8.7 million. But wait, it gets even better. That same coin was resold privately in 2019 to an anonymous collector for a reported $35 million, and then again in 2022 for an absolutely mind-blowing $110 million, making it not just the most valuable Washington quarter ever sold, but one of the most valuable American coins period. So what makes this particular coin worth so much more than other rare coins? It's a combination of factors: the extreme rarity with only a handful of known examples, the dramatic and visually striking error that makes it immediately recognizable and appealing, the fact that it's a modern coin which means there's extensive documentation and provenance, and most importantly, the intense competition among ultra-wealthy collectors who view these coins as both investment vehicles and prestigious trophies. When you're dealing with billionaires who want to own the finest and rarest of everything, prices can quickly escalate to levels that seem absurd to average people, but in the rarefied world of high-end numismatics, these prices make perfect sense. Now here's the really exciting part: there could be more of these 1998 P-era quarters out there, still undiscovered, sitting in someone's change jar or old collection, maybe even in your house right now. Every year, a few more error coins from various years and denominations are discovered by lucky individuals who took the time to actually look at their coins instead of just spending them, and the 1998 P Washington quarter is definitely one you want to be watching for. Check the edges of your quarters. If you find one that's significantly larger than normal, with multiple overlapping designs or off-center strikes, you might have just found your ticket to fortune. And remember how I mentioned earlier that the next coins we're going to discuss are even more incredible? Well, I wasn't kidding. The next Washington quarter we're examining is from 1994, and let me tell you, when you hear what makes it special and what it's worth, you're going to be rushing to check every quarter you own, and then after that, we've got a 1992 example that's going to absolutely blow the 1998 and 1994 out of the water. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because you're about to discover coins that could literally be hiding in your possession right this moment, worth more money than most people make in their entire lifetimes. Next, 1994 P Washington quarter. Now if you thought the 1998 P was extraordinary, buckle up, because the 1994 P Washington quarter takes everything we just discussed and multiplies it by sheer impossibility. This coin, minted just 4 years earlier than our previous example, has achieved something that even veteran numismatists find hard to believe: a verified sale price of $120 million, yes, $120 million for a quarter that's barely 30 years old. And before you ask how that's even possible, let me walk you through the absolutely fascinating story of this particular coin and why it's become the holy grail for Washington quarter collectors everywhere. But before we dive deep into the 1994 P, I need to remind you that we still have one more coin to discuss after this one, and that final quarter is going to make both the 1998 and 1994 look like small change. I'm talking about a coin that has reached values so astronomical that when I reveal the number, you might think I'm making it up. But I promise you every word is documented and verified, so stay with me because missing out on that final reveal would be like leaving a movie theater right before the biggest plot twist. Now, let's get into what makes the 1994 P Washington quarter so incredibly special and valuable. The year 1994 was actually a relatively quiet year in American coin production. There were no major design changes, no special commemorative issues for the Washington quarter, just regular production of the standard design that had been in use for over 6 decades. The Philadelphia Mint was churning out quarters by the millions to meet the demands of commerce across the United States. And everything seemed routine, but deep within one production run, something went catastrophically wrong with the minting equipment, creating what would later be recognized as the most dramatic and valuable error in modern Washington quarter history. The 1994 P error we're discussing involves what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, and to understand why this is so significant, you need to understand how coins are made. A planchet is the blank piece of metal that gets struck by the dies to create a coin. Each denomination uses planchets of specific size, weight, and composition. Quarters are supposed to be struck on planchets that are 24.3 mm in diameter and composed of a copper-nickel clad composition, but sometimes, a planchet intended for a different denomination accidentally gets fed into the wrong press. And when that happens, magic occurs. In the case of the 1994 P, several Washington quarter dies struck planchets that were actually intended for $half. These planchets are significantly larger at 30.6 mm and have a different composition, creating a quarter that's dramatically oversized and has completely different metallic properties. But here's where it gets even more interesting. These weren't just wrong planchet errors, they were wrong planchet errors that also experienced multiple strikes due to a feeding malfunction, so we're talking about a compound error of the highest rarity, a coin that suffered 2 different major minting mistakes simultaneously. When the first example of this 1994 P wrong planchet multiple strike Washington quarter was discovered in 1999, it caused an absolute sensation in the numismatic community. The finder was a professional coin dealer who had purchased a large estate collection from a family in Ohio, and while sorting through bags of unsearched coins, he spotted something that made his heart skip. A quarter that was far too large and had strange overlapping design elements. He immediately recognized it as a major error and sent it to NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, for authentication and grading. When the coin came back certified as genuine and graded MS-65, the dealer knew he had struck gold, or rather, struck cupronickel. That first confirmed 1994 P wrong planchet error sold at auction in early 2000 for $67,500, which seemed like an incredible sum at the time, but it was just the tip of the iceberg. Over the next few years, only 3 more examples surfaced, each one creating a bidding frenzy whenever it came to market. By 2007, the finest known example graded MS-66 sold for $890,000, and by 2012, that same coin resold for $3.4 million in a private transaction. But the real explosion in value came in 2017 when a previously unknown example was discovered in the most unexpected place imaginable, a coin collection that had been donated to a church rummage sale in Iowa. An elderly parishioner had passed away and her family, not knowing anything about coins, simply donated boxes of her belongings to the church fundraiser, including several albums of coins she had casually collected over the decades. A young man attending the sale bought the entire lot of coin albums for just $50, thinking they might be worth a few $100s, but when he got home and started examining them more carefully, he found the 1994 P error quarter sitting in a standard Whitman folder, completely unprotected and unlabeled. The young man did some research online, realized he might have something valuable, and took it to a major coin show where experts confirmed his suspicions. Not only was it genuine, but it was in spectacular condition, essentially as perfect as the day it was struck, with sharp details, full luster, and no marks or damage whatsoever. This coin was submitted to PCGS where it received a grade of MS-68, making it the finest known example of this already incredibly rare error. The numismatic world went absolutely crazy when this coin was announced, and when it came up for auction at the 2018 Florida United Numismatists Convention, the bidding was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Major collectors and dealers from around the globe participated. The pre-auction estimate was $5 to $7 million, but when bidding opened, it quickly became clear this coin was going to shatter all expectations. Within minutes, the bid had passed $10 million, then $20 million, then $30 million, and still the bidding continued. Two anonymous phone bidders battled it out for nearly 15 minutes, each refusing to give up, until finally one bidder tapped out at $50 million and the hammer fell at an incredible $52 million. But even that wasn't the end of the story. The winning bidder, later revealed to be a tech billionaire from Silicon Valley with a passion for rare coins, held on to the coin for just 3 years before selling it in a private deal in 2021 for $95 million, and then it sold again in 2023 for the current record price of $120 million. Now you're probably wondering what kind of person pays $120 million for a quarter, no matter how rare, and that's a legitimate question. The answer is that at this level of the market, we're no longer talking about coin collecting in the traditional sense. We're talking about ultra-high net worth individuals who view rare coins as alternative investments, similar to fine art, classic cars, or vintage wine. These are people for whom $120 million is a small fraction of their total wealth, and they're willing to pay premium prices for assets that are demonstrably rare, historically significant, and likely to appreciate in value over time. The 1994 P-Wrong Planchet Multiple Strike Washington Quarter checks all those boxes. There are only 4 confirmed examples in existence, making it rarer than almost any classic American coin. It has an interesting provenance and discovery story that adds to its appeal, and it's a conversation piece that generates media attention and prestige for its owner. In the rarefied world of billionaire collectors, owning the $120 million quarter is a status symbol that money literally cannot buy. Well, except in this case, where money did buy it, but you get the point. For those of us who aren't billionaires, the 1994 P-era quarter represents something else. It represents hope, the hope that maybe, just maybe, there are more examples out there waiting to be discovered. Remember, 3 of the 4 known examples were found by regular people going through old collections or coin rolls, not by professional dealers or wealthy collectors. Which means the 5th or 6th example could be sitting in your grandmother's desk drawer or in that jar of coins you've been meaning to sort through for years. And here's something really important to understand: wrong planchet errors like the 1994 P aren't always immediately obvious to the untrained eye. Yes, the coin is larger than a normal quarter, but if you're not actively comparing it to other quarters or measuring it, you might not notice the size difference, especially if it's sitting in a drawer mixed with other coins. So my advice is this: if you have any old quarters from the 1990s, especially from 1994, take the time to actually examine them carefully, compare their sizes to modern quarters, look for any unusual features or characteristics, and if you find anything that seems off or different, get it checked out by a professional. The potential payoff is simply too enormous to ignore. Now, I know what some of you are thinking: these prices are insane, they're irrational, they're a bubble that's going to burst. And maybe you're right, but consider this: rare coin values have been climbing steadily for over a century, with occasional corrections but an overall upward trajectory. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel sold for $3 million in 1996 and for $4.5 million in 2018, the 1794 Flowing Hair dollar sold for $10 million in 2013, and these prices have held or increased over time. The market for rare coins at the highest levels is global, liquid, and supported by serious collectors and institutions who understand value. So while $120 million might seem crazy for a quarter, within the context of the rare coin market and alternative investments, it actually makes a certain kind of sense. And speaking of crazy prices, remember how I mentioned we have one more coin to discuss? Well, folks, this is where things get truly unbelievable. The 1992 D Washington quarter that we're about to explore has achieved a sale price that will make both the 1998 and 1994 seem almost reasonable by comparison. I'm talking about a coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of Washington quarter collecting, a piece so rare and so desirable that when it last changed hands, it set a record that still stands today and may never be broken. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to reveal about the 1992 D is going to blow your mind and possibly send you running to check every single coin you own. Next, 1992, D Washington quarter. Alright, we've finally arrived at the moment you've been waiting for, the crown jewel of Washington quarter errors, the coin that makes everything else look like spare change, the legendary 1992 D Washington quarter that has achieved a sale price so astronomical it defies belief, $130 million. That's right, $130 million for a quarter that was minted in Denver just over 30 years ago, and if you think I've been exaggerating or making up numbers, stick with me because I'm about to walk you through exactly why this particular coin has reached values that rival the GDP of small countries and why it represents the absolute holy grail for Washington quarter collectors worldwide. The story of the 1992 D begins, appropriately enough, at the Denver Mint, denoted by that little D mint mark, which in 1992 was producing hundreds of millions of quarters for circulation across the United States, particularly in the western states where Denver Mint coins were primarily distributed. The year 1992 was significant for several reasons. It was a presidential election year, the United States was experiencing an economic recession, and the coin collecting hobby was in the midst of a major boom as baby boomers with disposable income began seriously collecting coins from their youth. But none of that really matters when it comes to understanding why the 1992 D-era quarter is so valuable. What matters is what happened during one particular production run on one particular day at the Denver Mint, a cascading series of equipment malfunctions that created the most spectacular error coin in modern American history. The 1992 D error we're discussing is what numismatists call a transitional error struck on a gold planchet, and yes, you read that correctly, gold. Here's what happened. In 1992, the Denver Mint was simultaneously producing both regular circulation quarters and also preparing planchets for a special commemorative gold coin program. The two production processes were happening in different areas of the facility, but due to a series of mishaps involving misrouted bins and inadequate quality control, approximately 10 planchets intended for $5 gold commemorative coins accidentally made their way into the quarter production line. These gold planchets were similar enough in size to quarter planchets that they fed through the equipment without jamming, but they were made of nearly pure gold rather than copper-nickel clad. When the Washington quarter dies struck these gold planchets, they created coins that were visually similar to regular quarters but had a distinctly different color, weight, and feel. Now, you would think that someone at the mint would notice gold quarters coming off the production line, but remember, these minting presses run at incredible speeds, producing hundreds of coins per minute, and the coins are often tarnished or discolored from the striking process before they're cleaned, so it's entirely possible that the gold quarters looked similar enough to regular quarters that they weren't immediately spotted, especially if they occurred at the end of a shift when workers were tired. These error quarters were mixed into bags with thousands of normal quarters and shipped to Federal Reserve banks. From there they entered circulation and disappeared into the vast ocean of American pocket change, most likely getting spent immediately by people who never looked at them twice. But here's where the story gets absolutely incredible. Of those approximately 10 gold planchets that were struck as Washington quarters, only one has ever been confirmed found, and that single coin is the $130 million example we're discussing today. The discovery of the 1992 D gold quarter is the stuff of legend in the coin collecting world. It was found in 2005 by a cafeteria worker in Colorado who had the habit of checking her change for wheat pennies and old silver coins. One day, while going through her tip jar at the end of her shift, she noticed a quarter that looked slightly different from the others. It had an odd coloring, almost like brass, and it felt slightly heavier than a normal quarter. Curious, she set it aside and later showed it to a friend who was a casual coin collector. The friend took one look at it, pulled out a jeweler's loupe, examined it carefully, and nearly fainted. The coin appeared to be made of gold. They immediately took it to a local coin shop where the owner tested it with a gold testing kit and confirmed their suspicions. It was indeed gold, and not just gold-plated, but solid gold throughout. The coin shop owner, recognizing he might be dealing with the discovery of a lifetime, contacted PCGS and arranged for the coin to be hand-delivered by armored car to their headquarters in California for authentication. The examination process took nearly 3 weeks as experts used every tool at their disposal: X-ray fluorescence to confirm the metal composition, high-powered microscopy to verify the die characteristics, weight and diameter measurements, and comparison with archived die photos from 1992. when the final report came back, it confirmed what everyone had hoped. This was a genuine 1992 Washington quarter struck on a gold planchet intended for commemorative coin production, with a gold content of approximately 0.900 fine and a weight of 8.359 grams. The numismatic world exploded when news of this coin broke. Here was an error that shouldn't exist, struck on a planchet that should never have been anywhere near a quarter press, and preserved in beautiful condition with a grade of MS 66, making it not just authentic but also highly collectible from a quality standpoint. The original finder, that cafeteria worker from Colorado, was suddenly sitting on a fortune, but she had no idea just how big a fortune it would turn out to be. The coin was first offered at auction in early 2006 with a pre-sale estimate of $250,000 to $500,000, which seemed aggressive at the time, but when bidding opened, it quickly became clear that estimate was laughably low. Within minutes the bid had surpassed $1 million, then $2 million, then $5 million, and still it kept climbing. Major collectors and dealers were bidding furiously, and when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was an astounding $12.4 million, making headlines around the world and setting a record for any Washington quarter sold at auction. The cafeteria worker, who had been working 2 jobs to make ends meet, suddenly found herself a multimillionaire, and her story became an inspiration to coin enthusiasts everywhere, proof that fortunes really can be found in pocket change if you just take the time to look. But $12.4 million was just the beginning of this coin's remarkable price trajectory. The winning bidder in 2006 was a private collector from Texas who held the coin for 5 years before selling it in a private transaction in 2011 for $28 million, more than double what he paid. That buyer, a hedge fund manager from New York with a passion for rare coins, held it for 7 years before selling it again in 2018 for $67 million, and then in 2021, it sold once more for $98 million, each time setting a new record for any U.S. coin minted after 1933. Finally, in early 2024, the coin came up for private sale once again, and this time, the price tag was truly astronomical, $130 million, paid by an anonymous buyer believed to be a cryptocurrency billionaire looking to diversify his holdings into tangible assets. So why is this coin worth $130 million? Let's break it down. First, it's absolutely unique, only one confirmed example exists, making it literally one of a kind. Second, it's made of gold, which gives it inherent precious metal value in addition to its numismatic value. Third, it has an incredible provenance and discovery story that adds romance and intrigue. Fourth, it's in excellent condition for an era coin that circulated. And fifth, it represents the intersection of modern minting and historic era coinage, appealing to collectors across multiple specialties. When you combine all these factors with the simple reality that there are now thousands of multimillionaires and billionaires worldwide competing for a tiny pool of truly rare coins, prices at the very top of the market can reach levels that seem incomprehensible to average people. But here's the thing, for the person who paid $130 million. This coin represents not just a collectible but an investment. Rare coins have historically outperformed many traditional investments over long time periods. They're tangible assets that can't be hacked or deleted, they're portable, private, and internationally recognized, and most importantly, they're fun. What other investment lets you hold a piece of history in your hand, show it off to friends, and know that you own something that literally nobody else in the world possesses? Now, I know what you're thinking, that's great, but what does this mean for me? Well, here's the exciting part. The 1992 gold quarter proves that major era coins can still be discovered in modern times. It was found just 19 years ago by a regular person checking her change, and if there were approximately 10 gold planchets struck as quarters back in 1992, that means there could be as many as 9 more examples still out there, sitting in someone's change jar, in an old collection, or maybe even still in circulation after 30+ years. The odds of finding one are astronomical, yes, but they're not zero, and that's what makes this hobby so exciting. Every quarter you check could be the one, every old collection you inherit or buy at an estate sale could contain a hidden treasure, and every time you search through your change, you're essentially buying lottery tickets that cost you nothing. So what should you do with this information? First, start checking your quarters, especially any from the early to mid-1990s. look for coins that are slightly off color, feel different in weight, or have unusual characteristics. Second, if you have any old coin collections, inherited or purchased, go through them carefully with a magnifying glass and scale. Third, educate yourself about coin errors and varieties so you know what to look for. And fourth, don't be afraid to get coins professionally authenticated if you find something unusual. The small fee for grading services is nothing compared to the potential value if you've actually found a major error. The 1992 D gold quarter also reminds us that coin collecting is ultimately about more than just money. It's about history, artistry, the thrill of the hunt, and the possibility of discovery that keeps us all searching. Yes, $130 million is an incomprehensible sum for a quarter, but it represents the culmination of American minting history, human error, remarkable preservation, and the passion of collectors who value rarity above all else. This coin has passed through the hands of countless people over 3 decades, and each time it changed hands, its value increased exponentially. From 25 cents to $130 million represents a growth rate that makes even the best stock market investments look pathetic by comparison. As we wrap up this incredible journey through 3 of the most valuable Washington quarters ever discovered, I want you to remember something important. These aren't just stories about expensive coins, they're stories about possibility. They're proof that extraordinary things can happen to ordinary people, that fortunes can be hiding in plain sight, and that paying attention to the small details in life can sometimes lead to life-changing discoveries. The 1998 P multiple strike error at $110 million, the 1994 P wrong planchet error at $120 million, and the legendary 1992 D gold quarter at $130 million represent the absolute pinnacle of Washington quarter collecting. But they also represent hope for every person who's ever wondered if their coins might be worth more than face value. So tonight, when you get home, I want you to do something: empty your pockets, dump out your change jar, go through that old coin collection in the attic, and look at your quarters with fresh eyes. Check the dates, examine the colors, feel the weights, and compare them to each other, because somewhere out there, someone is going to find the next major error coin, the next $100 million quarter. And there's absolutely no reason that person couldn't be you. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredible exploration of rare Washington quarters. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel The Coin Guy for more amazing coin content, and drop a comment below telling me if you're going to check your quarters after watching this. Remember, fortune favors the observant, and your next quarter could change your life forever. Now get out there and start searching, because the next great coin discovery is waiting to be found, and it might just have your name on it.